2025 kicked off with massive hype, big budgets, star-studded casts, and viral trailers, but not every K-drama delivered on the promise. Despite all the buzz, some of the year's most anticipated dramas completely missed the mark, tanking in ratings and sparking backlash from fans. In this video, we'll be counting down 10 such Korean dramas that totally flopped in the first half of 2025. Kicking off the list is Pump Up the Healthy Love. Starring Lee Jun-young and Jung Yoon-ji, this drama was set around a trendy 24-hour fitness center where love and muscle were expected to collide in a comedic storm. With both leads known for their idol backgrounds and prior rom-com charm, viewers anticipated a fun and energetic show. Unfortunately, it quickly turned into one of the biggest disappointments of the year. Despite a few comedic highlights and charming moments, the plot meandered, resulting in rapidly declining viewership. From an already modest premiere rating, it plummeted to a dismal 0.7% by episode 11, marking one of the lowest ever for a KBS primetime slot. Next up is Spring of Youth. Led by Park Ji-hoo and Ha Yoo-jun with high-profile cameos, the show was marketed as a Gen Z coming-of-age drama mixing college life, music, and slow-burning romance. It had every ingredient for success: trendy young stars, a campus setting, and Hallyu-backed promotional power. But what audiences got instead was a flat, unimaginative story lacking emotional punch and originality. Ratings were abysmal from the get-go, debuting around 1.4% and crashing to under 1% by the second episode, sealing its fate early. Though it had potential, Spring of Youth faded fast, becoming one of SBS's biggest misfires in 2025. Coming up next is Dear Hongrung. Dear Hongrung is a historical Netflix drama that dropped on May 16th and starred Yi Jae-wook and Jo Bo-ah. With a storyline based on the beloved novel, this Joseon-era mystery romance promised high-stakes drama and intricate storytelling. The hype was real. Netflix's backing ensured global reach, and the cast was beloved both at home and abroad. The initial episodes were intriguing, pulling in audiences with political suspense and captivating period aesthetics. But by episode 4, things began to unravel. Viewers quickly soured on its convoluted plot twists and sluggish pacing, which diluted the early momentum. By the finale, Dear Hongrung had fallen from one of the most anticipated dramas to just another forgettable footnote in the long list of underwhelming saegooks. Moving on, we have Tastefully Yours. With Kang Hanul playing a sophisticated chef and Go Min-si as a countryside cook, Tastefully Yours looked poised to serve up mouth-watering visuals and warm-hearted romance. Expectations were high due to the popularity of gourmet K-dramas and the lead actors' reputations for emotionally rich performances. However, despite its cozy setup, the series ultimately fell flat. Ratings hovered around 2 to 3%, and reviews soon turned cold. While the visuals remained aesthetically pleasing, the narrative suffered from repetitive scenes and a lack of emotional depth. Audiences started quietly dropping the show, and it ended up being remembered more for its missed potential than anything else. Another drama on the list is Our Movie. Headlined by Nam Gung-min and John Yo-bin, Our Movie followed the emotional lives of two film industry professionals rekindling love amidst artistic turmoil. With Nam Gung-min's strong acting chops and John Yo-bin's comeback, Our Movie was expected to dominate Friday-Saturday nights. The premiere did show some promise with a 4.2% rating, but it sharply dropped to 3% in episode 2 and never recovered. Critics labeled it a glossy but empty attempt at mature romance. Nam Gung-min even publicly addressed the poor reception on Instagram, urging fans to give it time and promising that the narrative would improve, which unfortunately didn't. Next up is the romantic comedy drama The Divorce Insurance. Featuring Yi Dong-gook as a cynical actuary who designs a literal divorce insurance policy, the premise was fresh and exciting. Paired with Yi Joo-bin and supported by a solid ensemble including Yi Gwang-soo and Yi Da-hee, the show promised clever satire and adult-oriented humor. Yet the result was an awkward mess. Ratings slid from a decent 3.2% premiere to below 1% mid-season. Fans were especially frustrated with the underwhelming character arcs and narrative jumps. The series became one of the most talked about flops of early 2025, not for its quality, but for how fast it squandered its A-list cast and original concept. Coming up next is The Potato Lab. A quirky rom-com about a passionate potato researcher and a stoic executive, portrayed by Yi Sun-bin and Kang Tae-oh respectively, the show initially drew in fans with its oddball charm and wholesome premise. Taeyo's military discharge made this one of his most hyped returns, and viewers were excited for a fresh take on rural workplace romance. But once the novelty wore off, the series unraveled fast. The plot was painfully slow and repetitive, with episodes often feeling like filler rather than development. Ratings stuck around a mediocre 1 to 2%, and by mid-season, many viewers had already checked out. Although it maintained a small cult following overseas, Korean fans largely deemed it boring. Third on the list is Kick Kick Kick, KBS 2's experimental workplace sitcom starring Ji Jin-hee, Yi Gyu-hyung, and Baek Ji-won. The series tried to revive the long-forgotten sitcom format with modern office humor and exaggerated antics. Despite being branded as a bold, genre-reviving move, the show fell flat in nearly every way. From its premiere, ratings hovered just above 2%, but by episode 10, they had dipped into 0.3%. It lacked the charisma and warmth of legendary sitcoms like High Kick or Non-Stop, and instead became a prime example of how not to revive a genre. The show may have aimed to be the start of something new, but it ended as a full-blown creative misfire. Second on the list is Crushology 101. Adapted from the popular webtoon Bunny and Her Boys, the show is set in a university and follows a classic love square dynamic. With rising stars like No Jung-hee and Yi Chae-min leading the cast, NBC positioned this as their flagship spring rom-com for younger audiences. However, things didn't go as expected. Premiere ratings came in at just 1.3%, and the numbers continued to tumble with later episodes. Despite its vibrant visuals and Instagrammable moments, the show failed to engage either emotionally or intellectually. Crushology proved how a poor adaptation can sink even the most hyped webtoon project. And finally, claiming the top spot on this flop-filled list is When the Stars Gossip. The massively hyped TVN space rom-com, with a staggering 50 billion Korean won budget, the drama featured Lee Min-ho and Gong Hyo-jin in Korea's first-ever outer space love story. The concept was bold, the visuals were cutting-edge, and the casting was pure Hallyu gold. It was supposed to be a K-drama milestone, but reality hit hard. Viewers were met with sluggish pacing, baffling creative choices, and a storyline that seemed lost in orbit. Domestic ratings dropped like a meteor from a modest 3.3% debut to the low 1% range. Despite decent international interest, Korean audiences collectively turned their backs on it. When the Stars Gossip stands as 2025's most expensive and most spectacular K-drama failure. So, what are your thoughts on these K-dramas? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends.